Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing stop your dumper having access to these things now. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing stop your dumper having access to these things now. So if you've been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need to stop your ex having access to certain things. This isn't about being negative or bitter, as that certainly won't help your cause, but for your ex to miss you, they need to feel the loss of you no longer being their romantic partner. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 things a dumpee needs to stop their dumper having access of. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is your love. When somebody ends a relationship with you, they lose gold membership. And what I mean by this is that if you were to think back to when you and your now former partner were in a long-term loving relationship, you would have both treated each other in the best possible way. You would have given each other what I call gold membership. Now, when a relationship ends, in particular when somebody ends a relationship by dumping you, they lose that gold membership. So what exactly does this mean? What could this constitute as? Well, let me give you an example. Let's imagine that you know that your ex is about to qualify in a certain way. Maybe there's some type of qualification that they've been trying to achieve for a while, and you know that they are coming to a point where they're going to have achieved that goal. If they dump you, and you know in 3 months' time it's at that point where they would have qualified, if you don't hear from your ex in between them dumping you and the day that you know they're going to qualify, you don't send them a congratulations message. Okay, you don't send them any supportive messages if they've dumped you and there's been no interaction in between. Now, if this sounds somewhat confusing, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. The reason I say this is my podcasts have to be somewhat generalized. And of course, I can't speak about all the intricacies and caveats within your connection and your breakup. So this is why my one-on-one coaching service can help you, because we can really delve into your specifics. You know, I can't cover all bases in a podcast, but what I'm trying to get across is that sometimes post-breakup, there might be some interactions which were started by your ex for dumper, but perhaps you haven't got back together at this point. But if that was to be the case, then maybe there is some scope where you may send a supportive message in this example that I've been giving. But that is very rare, and that is why I can't be vouching for this, generally speaking. If you want to speak to me one-on-one via my audio coaching, where I can be your coach and your teammate, then please go to my website, www.dateme.tips, for more information. So going back to point number 1 and how we're looking at the fact that one of the things your dumper should not have access to after the end of a relationship is your love. You know, this goes in all directions. Of course, you're going to be feeling love towards them, no doubt, internally, just you understanding that and maybe some trusted friends and family, but you should not be showcasing that to your ex. Don't push them on that pedestal. Don't inflate their ego. So this means you shouldn't be posting on social media messages about how much you love your ex. Or even if you're not mentioning your ex by name, even if you're not mentioning the word love, if you're now putting things on social media which showcase that you're really upset, that you're down, that you're sad, then if your ex dumper was to find out about this, they're going to understand completely that this is because they have left you. And if you're showcasing you feeling sad, you're not feeling motivated post-breakup, then subconsciously or consciously really, your dumper is going to realise how much you value them and you're pushing them up on that pedestal by almost giving them support via you saying how upset you are. Now, please understand, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be respectful to your ex or anybody for that matter. We should always be shown respect. And also, it's important that your ex does know that you didn't want that relationship to end. You did care, you did love them, you did want to move forward. But that, in my opinion, is to be said during the breakup. During the breakup itself, whether it was text, call, in person, maybe this drags on for a couple of days. It's very natural, it's very understandable. But once the dust has settled, once you know that your ex understands your point of view, you don't need to keep broadcasting it, because this is going to be pushing them onto that pedestal. This is going to be showcasing your love to your ex one way or the other. So whether you are sending them supportive messages, whether you're putting online how sad you are, whether you're putting online how great your ex is and how proud of them you are for achieving something, this would all constitute as you showing them your love. And they should not have access to this anymore. They should not be able to feel that. They should not have the gold membership anymore because they dumped you. Now, this also ties into birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, all of these moments where you might be considering sending contact. But, like I said earlier on in point number 1, there might be the odd caveat, depending on what's happened post-breakup, where maybe, in some rare instances, you could send happy birthday. I can't go into all of it right now, but if we were to speak one-on-one, I could help you understand if you feel that this might be something that you could be doing. I'll give my viewpoint on whether or not you should. Generally speaking, it's no. If you're not really sure about which way to go, don't do it. It's the safer option. Very, very occasionally, it could be a good move you could make, but that is very, very rarely. And I don't like to promote that because people just jump on the bandwagon and say, yes, that's for me. Well, let me tell you, most of you, it's not. It's not for you. But occasionally it might be, and audio coaching could be something you want to consider. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about stop your dumper having access to these things now. And point number 2 is your money. So if somebody dumps you, they should absolutely no longer have any access to your money. So what this means instantly is you need to make sure that they don't have access to your payment cards, that they don't have your physical money for some reason. But it goes a lot deeper than that. You shouldn't be loaning your ex money. Maybe somebody dumps you and then a few weeks down the line, they're begging for money. You shouldn't be doing this. Some dumpees believe that if they want to try to get their ex back, they've got to be helping them out, proving their worth, showing they love them by doing anything that their dumper requests. Unless it is for a very unique circumstance, which is incredibly unlikely to be the case. You shouldn't be loaning your ex money. You certainly shouldn't be giving them money. And this also fits in with gifts. It fits in with handouts. It also fits in with things which you might not necessarily see as money, but certainly are. An example of this is they should no longer have access to subscriptions or accounts that maybe you shared and that you paid for. Let me give you a quick example of this. Maybe you had a TV subscription to a streaming service where you both had access to it on your device, but you're the one who's paying for it. Okay? If they dump you, they lose access to that. Now, I understand you might be thinking, well, I don't want to come across as somebody who's angry and bitter by completely just removing them from everything instantaneously. I understand that. It is a little bit of a balancing act because you don't want to be coming across as bitter. You don't want to be coming across as angry and doing tit for tat. You've hurt me, now I'm going to hurt you. It shouldn't be seen as that. But on the same hand, they need to be shown you respect. And respect is if they dump you, if they no longer want to be in a romantic relationship with you, then they don't get access to your money. They don't get access to you paying for their accounts. If, for instance, you're still paying for their phone and this is a contract, then maybe something has to be arranged or decided or understood, but certainly when that contract comes to an end, it needs to be severed, okay? You shouldn't be doing it beyond that. And even if you are, for the contract purpose, still paying, your ex should be paying their way during this time. The only way that this wouldn't be the necessary case is if you actually owed your dumper money, and therefore this is almost paying them back, okay? So unless that's the case, you shouldn't be paying for them in any way. Like I said, it could be an account or a subscription. If you've got a TV subscription, you can both watch on each other's device, you're paying. I don't suggest at the time of a breakup, as soon as they say it's over, you quickly go on your laptop and remove them from the account. I don't suggest you do it instantaneously, but on the same hand, I would suggest that after a month or two, you take them off it. Maybe don't do it instantly, because who knows, this could be resolved in a few days or a few weeks. But if it becomes clear that your breakup is, at least for now, finalised, in the month or two afterwards, they shouldn't be able to watch the TV streaming service that you're paying for. So you should remove them. I wouldn't even send them a text to say you're doing so. Because at the end of the day, if they end the relationship, they no longer have gold membership to you. They don't want to be with you. So you shouldn't be supporting them with money, with loans, with gifts, with handouts, with subscriptions or accounts. This is something that they lose when they dump you. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about stop your dumper having access to these things now. And point number 3 is your energy. So when somebody dumps you, your ex should no longer have access to your energy. This means a few things. It means you're no longer going to plan for them. Maybe, for instance, something was coming up in which you were going to together, or maybe it was just your ex, but whilst you were as a couple, you were going to help them plan it out. Maybe it was a trip, maybe it was something for their work, whatever it may be, you are no longer going to plan it for them. You're no longer going to proofread something for them. You're no longer going to help them in this way, that way, or the other. It's not about you being bitter, and I'm not saying you do this with a vindictive, angry comment, etc. But at the end of the day, if you've been dumped and your ex contacts you for a necessary reason, and that necessary reason is for you to do them a massive favour, I would be tempted to say, well, thanks for reaching out, but unfortunately I'm really busy right now. I can't really dedicate any time to that. I hope you're okay. Take care. I would try and respond in a somewhat positive but clear way that you do not have the time. You do not have the energy to do planning for them. You do not have the energy to do networking for them. Sometimes dumpees are trying to help their ex out, maybe in a misguided way of trying to get them back. Perhaps their ex, the dumper, is unemployed, and a dumpee is speaking to somebody who is speaking of them needing to hire somebody. And the dumpee might be thinking, okay, well, I'll tell them about my ex, then I'll text my ex, get them the job, and this is how we'll get back together. This, sadly, is very unlikely to get you back together. It might in incredibly rare circumstances, but again, generally speaking, it's not likely to work. So I don't suggest you put your ex-dumper's name forward. I'm sorry, but if they dump you, you're no longer going to network for them. You're no longer going to help them in that way. If you speak with somebody who is looking for a new employee, you don't say, hey, look, I know somebody who wants a job, and then think, yes, this is my reason to reach out to my ex. No, you just leave it. They are no longer part of your current life path. They will always be part of your life story. They might be part of your life path in the future, but right now they're not in this chapter. So you don't waste and spend your energy on them at this time. I think it's also very important to mention that you shouldn't be wasting your energy on waiting for them. Sometimes it spends a lot of our energy simply thinking we're waiting for an ex, simply by sitting there at home alone, refusing to do things with friends or family, refusing to make new connections, refusing to live your life. You're actually doing very, very little because you're waiting by the phone, hoping for your ex to contact you, hoping to get back together. Sometimes, even if you're not doing much per se, you're actually expending a lot of energy. And this is the energy of stress, worry, anxiety, and the energy that you're not spending in a more productive way. Your ex shouldn't have access to your energy. Your ex shouldn't have opportunity to almost use you as a puppet where they have your strings and you will dance to their tune. And what I mean by this, you shouldn't be waiting around for them. You need to be living your life for you. If and when they contact you, this is when you can try and rebuild that connection. But you shouldn't be waiting in the meantime. They do not have access to your energy. You are in charge of your energy. You're in charge of your life. You will do what you want to do, and that has to be something which is productive. They are not going to be holding you ransom in some type of metaphorical way for you waiting there, whether or not they've given you hope to believe, whether or not this is all something you are thinking is best for you. I'm here to say that when you're doing something productive for yourself, sitting around at home alone for your ex is not one of them. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.